Hi everyone. I hope that you can hear me nice and clear. It's Isabella here, and I will be your instructor for day 2 of level 1 NLG, instructed in English. Okay, so I think that everyone hear me nice and clear now. All right, so today in day 2 of level 1, we will recap some of the points that we discussed yesterday. And once again, I will not transmit healing energy in this session because later on you can receive it from Miss Delay, and I think that everyone is really excited about that. That's sort of it's sort of everyday's kind of habits for a lot of people now, and I understand that. So I won't be transmitting energy during this session. Now, before we come in to today's content, I just like to remind everyone that level 1 consists of 2 sessions. It was yesterday, and we have another session today, and then you're finished for level 1. Level 1 consists of 2 energy activations, everyone. So the one that we got yesterday was the brain cell activation, and the one that we will do today will be stem cells activation. So they're totally different, and you are required to obtain both of these energy activations in order for you to then practice the level 1 formulas, as well as to be considered as a level 1 participant, and then you can proceed to level 2. Now, for some reason, if you miss out on one of these activations, you need to wait until the next level 1, and you have to complete that again. Make sure that you complete it fully so that you can then proceed to level 2. And just so we're very clear when it comes to these live stream, these online classes, is that when you attend these classes in real time, as in when you see the word live on these videos, and they're in red, that means that it's in real time. And so when that, in that case, the energy activation that I transmit to you, once again, that's in real time, and it's the only way that it is effective. So that means that when you rewatch these videos, for example, you rewatch yesterday's video, you can revise the content, and you can take notes however you want, but you cannot receive the activation from yesterday because that was yesterday. And when you rewatch it, of course, I'm not going to be sitting in front of the computer to transmit the energy activation to you. So you cannot get the activation in that way. You need to complete a class in real time in order to receive the energy activation. And that's the same thing when, for example, if you have friends or family members who would like to learn NLG, that's something to really notify them, explain it to them so that they understand how this works. And it should not be the case that you can just come in and rewatch a previous class video and receive the activation from there. It does not work that way. So just a heads up for everyone, so that when we come into this method and we learn these methods, that we actually know how it operates, and we're able to make the most out of it, and we're able to also take these classes properly. And of course, throughout these course, we need to understand that NLG is not religious. It is not political. And there's a need to, whenever we present you with a topic, we encourage you to really think about these from an energy perspective. Be interested to learn about it from an energy perspective, because it will help to, open up your mind to a lot of things that perhaps you've heard about before, but you don't really have a clear answer, or a totally different ways of thinking about this and understanding about these topics. So it is really, really beneficial. And I'm speaking also from a participant point of view when I come into NLG. So that's just some tips for you. And of course, when you come into class, have an open mind, be very accepting of this method. I mean, the fact that you've already put in your time, in investing your time into doing this, you might as well, try to make the most out of it. Because if you come in with doubt, with hesitation, and you don't really you don't really know what this is about, and you're not interested to find out, then you will get very little from this. And so once again, just a reminder for everyone. And so today, the structure of this class will, of course, we're going to talk about some of the theory, some of the background information of NLG. We would dive a little bit deeper into some of the topics that we talked about yesterday. And we'll give examples. They're very much real life examples, and they're very simple, but they're very relevant to everyone's life. And then, of course, we'll have the energy activation, and then we'll talk about the level 1 formula set that you can then practice all the way until you participate in level 2. And also level 2 is next week, everyone. So we've posted that schedule on our Facebook page. So have a look, and if you can, really try to be available for that one. Okay, so let's start by revising a little bit about the 5 forms of love. Now remember that at this foundation level, we will be working on the first and the second forms of love, which are self-love and love of family. As I've said yesterday, I know that some of you coming into this method, probably the things that you do, the experiences that you have, and the ways in which that you practice love maybe has already surpassed these 2 forms, but for the sake of structure of this course, we will go through it step by step. And of course, some of you might think that, well, I've been doing something, for my country and possibly for humankind as well. But a lot of the time we forget about these first 2 forms of love and how important it is, and the fact that we need to refine, we need to perfect ourselves. And now that we have a really great reason to do that, that is to maintain this energy connection. We know that we need to perfect ourselves in order for us to refine, to strengthen that energy connection from outer space, civilization, and that's something that's worth working on. Now, it's not just about knowing about these forms of love and having these forms of love, but the question is, how do we maintain it? Because that's something that we're more interested in. It needs to be a consistent process. So only when we keep improving ourselves that, it leads to a better life, for ourselves, for our family. And from that, we can all be benefited. So with the 5 forms of love going in the sequence, you already know that we're supposed to move towards the 5th form eventually, but we will be, going step by step. And remember that even when we start with self-love, it doesn't mean that we're selfish. And also when we start with our family, it's sort of like, it's a community in itself. It is a smaller one. But it is a smaller one. And so it's necessary for us to learn to love ourselves as an individual, loving our family as a smaller community, before we can expand that to the larger community. Now, of course, having love and expressing love is profoundly important for ourselves, for our family, whether you are an individual and you think that you may not have a lot of connection with other people, or maybe due to certain reasons that you think about it like that. At the end of the day, you're still a son, a daughter, or a parent, a wife, a husband, a grandparent. And so we cannot deny the fact that we belong to a family. And the family certainly needs to be built in happiness, in harmony, with empathy. And we also know that when we are in a negative state, then it's sort of like pressing the wrong number. So thinking about this energy connection and the study of energy as like having a phone, right? So you get to purchase a really, maybe the latest model of of a phone, a mobile phone. So it is very advanced. It is very good. Has a lot of different functions. But if you press the wrong number, so if you get the basic thing wrong, then of course that's no use. So you don't get to connect to the person or the line that you need to. And so it is absolutely necessary to upgrade our love as we go. And if you decide that, okay, so I will change for good, I will start from today. And then you had a great day, taking care of yourself, showing a lot of love to people. But then tomorrow you decide that you're going to return to that negative state again, to, just return to that normal, that old habits. And then, of course, when it comes to your energy connection, it wouldn't last and it wouldn't be strengthened. And so there's a need to be very consistent with that. And it should not be some sort of pressure that you have to get yourself in. It's not that, oh, I have to be good in order to do this, but it should be, I understand the benefits of being positive, of, showing love to other people. And it shouldn't be something that because I come into this method that I have to do this or I'm forced to do this. Remember that we don't force anyone to do any of these things. It's really our job to just present you with these information. We present you to these energy source, and we present you to the possible ways in which you can connect. And so then the rest of the journey is really yours once we activate you. I mean, unless you have question you want to connect with us, then you're welcome to do that. But when it comes to the day-to-day life, in terms of how you decide to treat other people, how you practice the formulas, and how you decide on your act of kindness, whether you want to do it, whether you don't want to do it, whether there are some things that, that you decide that, or maybe this method, it's not for me because I don't want to be good, I don't want to be kind, etc., etc. So that's really depends on you. And of course, we're not going to be there to monitor or to supervise. It's really is to do with your own journey and how you decide what you're going to do about this now that you have it. And also that energy connection, it really depends on you and how you decide to strengthen it. It's not something that we give you and then we have to do it for you. It's not really our job to strengthen it for you. It's something that certainly you need to do in order for you to get there. And so as you get up to the higher class levels here, NLG, that understanding of love and morality needs to also be upgraded. It's not just about having it and having it present in the way that you speak to other people, in the way that you treat other people, but it's also, it needs to be upgraded as you go. And in our life, a lot of the time, we look at other people and then we try to compare that with what we have or the things that we experience in our life. And we might think, why is that? Why is it that that person seems like they're doing really, really well? As in, they continue to have these great things that come to them and these great opportunity. And then, on the other side, on the other hand, from what I experience, I don't experience as many great things as that person. But the thing is, that's also to do with energy attraction. And what goes around comes around. You're giving acts of kindness. That's how you will get those similar things back in return. And a lot of the time we consider those things as luck, but that's not really luck. It's not a coincidence that things like that happen. And of course, there's that energy attraction, there's that energy credits, and also there's that karmic consequences as well. And so that's why when you come into the practice of NLG, and at this foundation level, we won't touch on that topic in great details, but if you go into high class levels of NLG, then Mr. Lay would explain it to you in much more details. And for you to really understand how it works from an energy perspective. And it makes sense. It just makes sense, and it helps you to explain and I guess fill in where you've been missing it and trying to really comprehend why things happen the way that they do. And from there, you have a stronger understanding and foundation of how things operate, how our world operates, how energy operates. And from there, you start to go into the right track. Actually, saying the right track would be, I guess, maybe controversial for some of you, but heading down a pathway that is just more beneficial for you and for other people. So let's not say that it's good or bad, but it's more beneficial. And you will see it happening if you put in the effort. Okay. And so, of course, there's many reasons as to why we become sick as well. And amongst those reasons, then of course, there's that energy attraction or energy disconnection. And so Mr. Lay will certainly talk about that more as you get to level 3. Okay. And of course, when we are affected by that energy, sort of coming back around to influence us because of the things that we've done that hurts other people or harm other people, then that in return having an impact on our body and, the cells in our body and the energy connection, or in other words, it's actually energy disconnection because we keep doing, negative things. And so with that, of course, we're not in the frequency for us to connect. And it's a very, I guess it's a very simple thing that, remember that we talk about the +1 - 1 frequency yesterday. So basically, when you're doing something that is out of line with this frequency called the +1 - 1, then of course you don't get to connect properly. And I guess when we put it that way, when we explain it to you from a frequency perspective, then it becomes very clear because it's only, in that frequency, it's like a radio. So you get the right frequency, you get the right channel. But if not, then, you're completely listening to a different channel or, you just hear noises. And so the +1 - 1 frequency, remember that this frequency is based on love and morality. Now, when we're happy, when our mind and our body is relaxed and we're in a state that we're happy, we're content, not overly happy, but we're just, very in a very peaceful manner, then of course the stage of our evolution will also be like that, and it helps us to move forward. And this topic, Mr. Lay, will certainly discuss with you when you get to level 3. But then if we are sad, if we're upset, if we're angry, bitter, then of course we won't be in this frequency. And with that, we just don't get connect properly to the energy source that we're interested in. And so the +1 -1 frequency is about being determined, being knowledgeable, and you understand exactly what it is that you're doing. And more important is understanding why you should act in a loving and moral manner. Why is it that you should maintain a positive presence? And so it's about that understanding as well, when you understand about love and about morality, and it comes back to that self-love. So you understand when it comes to self-love, it's not just about getting enough sleep and having a healthy diet. I mean, it's part of it, and we should all adapt, to such, I guess, routine or habits, because it's very, very beneficial for all of us. But other than that, other than the food that we consume, other than the fact that we should get enough sleep, taking good care of our physical body, but it's also about self-love here. And the reason why it's so important, it's because it points to the necessity that, that we should train and refine our mind, and, so that we are always in line with this frequency. So it's from the understanding that we have this energy, and then we understand how to connect to this energy through love and morality. And so when we know about that, we then train ourselves to always be in this frequency of +1 -1. We understand why is it that I should treat other people with love. We understand that, okay, so if I'm being kind to this person, even though they're horrible to me, they're being very mean, but if I still treat them with kindness, with composure, then what I'm doing is I'm keeping my frequency. They're the one who losing it, but I'm not going to copy that. I'm not going to, add to that so that I too would lose my frequency. So that is a part of self-love that we highly encourage you to really consider, and understanding it from that perspective as well. And so when you're in a happy, when you're in a positive state, then of course you create this really great attraction force for other good things to come as well. And this attraction force is something that you need to work on. It doesn't come naturally, everyone, and it doesn't come just because we activate you. It comes with self-control, with that great effort and regulations for you to, when you come into this method. And it's like when you buy a phone, but even though it's the latest model, you know it to be very good. But if you don't have any signal, you don't have any Wi-Fi, then there's not a lot of things that you can do when you're trying to use it to connect to other people. And so that's very much like our brain as well. We're designed to be like this. The brain was designed to be part of us. We have all of this, but I guess a lot of the time we don't think about how to use, or, we don't think about the connection between the brain and this energy source and how to attract it. And the fact that we're capable of building that +1 -1 frequency. And probably we don't even think about the benefits of maintaining in this +1 -1 frequency, because we've been, I guess, we've been normalizing, when we talk back to others and the rights to treat other people in a certain way because they deserve it, because they started it, because they said this, because they do this, and it's so negative. And then I have the right to then, just say something back or do something back to put them into their place. But then the thing is, we're then, I guess, in that sense, really prioritize other people's negative behaviors. We're not prioritizing our own energy frequency and our own energy connection. And so I would like to invite you all to really reconsider that. Think about self-love, in that moment when you encounter someone who's not very positive, then really try to prioritize that self-love. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're being mean to me, I'm going to maintain my composure, and I'm just going to be kind because I need to maintain my frequency. So that's something about the +1, -1 frequency that it's really, really beneficial for you when you try to connect to this energy source. Okay. And we already talked about the chicken and the eggs yesterday, so we're just going to recap that very quickly. So remember the necessity to practice correctly, everyone, and consistently as well in terms of the techniques, in terms of the formulas that we give you. And I hope that yesterday when we, after the class finished, that you actually take your time to practice the brain cell activation frequency, just so that you have that experience, the initial experience of feeling that energy and directing it. And so remember that it's really important for you to follow the formulas. Do not improvise it, because it's very much like when you follow a guideline, and that guidelines belongs to a organization. And so then if you do something and according to that guidelines, then you get the benefits that that organization has already informed you. But if you do something wrong, then not according to that guidelines, then of course it won't take you to where you need to be. And so that's just a reminder for everyone. And also when you practice correctly and consistently, that also has a great effect on your stem cells. It's sort of like you, let's say you practice every day, and visualize it as when you're able to have 3 meals per day and you drink enough water for your physical body to function. Now, if you stop doing that, then of course you become hungry, become irritated because you're hungry, and dehydrated, and etc. So that's the same thing for the stem cells in our body. We need to take good care of them by practicing the formulas, making sure that they receive all of that energy that they need so that they can function properly. Okay, and now let's talk a little bit about the long-term benefits of practicing this method. So we know that for many of you coming into NLG, that's because you perhaps are dealing with an illness. And so some of the first thing that people often experience with NLG, it's they experience health improvements. And so, of course, NLG looks to optimize life and improve health condition. And then the next step would be to maximize the brain function, increase intelligence and wisdom. Now, for a lot of, I guess, younger people coming into this method, for example, when I first came into this method, it wasn't because I have an illness or anything like that, but certainly as a young person, it helps me to open up to different perspective and understanding about, our life, about how things operates from an energy perspective. And for me, I find it very interesting. And so, and having the experiences that I have right now as a, someone who belongs to the younger generation, I think that it's much better to have it now, to experience it now, compared to, because I'm just thinking about if later on, if I don't have this privilege, if I don't have this opportunity, and then I only find out about it, later when I've already, experienced lots and lots of things, perhaps even difficulties and challenges in life. It's that feeling when you've already experienced the good things, then of course you don't want to go back to having to deal with these challenges, these possible challenges. And so I think that for younger people in particular is really, really great. It's a great way to experience your life in a more fulfilling manner, because I understand that nowadays there's a lot of things that we need to worry about. And having this, having this energy connection, knowing about energy is such an incredible way for you to really transform yourself. And of course, from there, you get to achieve maximum effectiveness at work, develop the highest career prospect. And as Mr. Lay explained, in high class level, this is regardless of age. So age is not something that would stop you from developing the highest career prospect. And there's always different ways in which you can enable this. Okay. And then from there, it enables love, feel loved and harmonize all relationships towards happiness. And then in the long term, of course, bring positive energy into the next life journey. And so that's to do with the values that we've already talked about. And it's not just about knowing it, but really taking it with you. And then the cosmic divine light, of course, we know we've already talked about this logo. And this one contains the codes to unlock all new knowledge to access the infinite energy source of the universe. Remember that there's no limit to it, and it is enough for all living things on Earth to flourish. And so that's why it is so beneficial. We haven't really harnessed the maximum potential of it yet. And also remember that the level of energy connection that you have with this energy source, it really depends on your practice of love and morality. And love is something that if you don't consider, if you don't think about it, if you don't do the right things when it comes to love, then it can backfire as well. Now, it may sound like a challenge for some of you, I guess, but that wisdom, that understanding will come to you when you practice correctly. Okay, so the point is to be accepting, to be loving, and to have that interest to be a better version of yourself. And at this foundation level, that's really important. So when you receive this energy source, and what it does to your nervous system is, of course, it's transfer energy source to the nervous system and the entire body instantly. So you look at formulas and you would see that. And perhaps for many of you, you've already experienced that as well. You feel that warmth. And it affects 100% of the stem cells in our body to help our body develop. It supports our physical health, intelligence, and it supports the superior evolution of consciousness as well. And what it does for the stem cells, of course, later on, I will show you the stem cell stimulation formula, which is a very, very special one. And it's something that if you know about stem cells and stem cells treatment, you wouldn't know about the effectiveness of it. And Mr. Lay will certainly explain it in much more details about stem cells. Really, really interesting when we get to level 3. At this foundation level, you already have the opportunity to practice it, to really experience it. And then at level 3, you'll understand exactly when you practice these formulas, particularly the stem cell stimulation formula, that in terms of its effectiveness from an energy perspective, how amazing that would be. Now, at energy, we talk about the topic of the brain quite a lot. And very much like our universe, there's a lot of things that we don't know about our brain. And the universe, of course, works collectively as an entire system. and it is massive, it is enormous, and of course there's a lot about it that we're yet to know. And so it's very much like our brain. A lot of the time we think about ourselves as just one person, one entity, and we're just working by ourselves. But then inside our body, the brain is one of the most sophisticated things, that luckily that we have, that we're designed with it. And the cells in our body, they work collectively as well. And so if we think about how we operate as a species, we're actually, as in our brain and the cells in our body, they're really amazing. And we haven't really learned how to work with them yet. We haven't found that mutual language yet. And so now you come into energy, you know that the way that they operate, is by having this energy source. And so it is really necessary then to harness the power of the brain, the power of the stem cells in our body, for them to help us to do the things that we wish to do, to improve, to transform our health, to increase our intelligence. And so with that, it's really, really important to connect to this energy properly and to really acknowledge the fact that we're working, inside our body. These cells are working, as a community, as a network. And so we are also, in nature, that we are capable of working in the same manner as well. Now, before I dive into the formulas, I'd like to just remind everyone that because we just talked about stem cell stimulation, now stem cell stimulation at this stage, of NOD, we can only stimulate our own stem cells. We have the formula for that, but we can only do it for ourselves. We cannot do it for other people. If other people want to do it, then they have to come into NOG and they would have to learn this method, and then they'll get the formula and they will practice for themselves. So it is very clear in that sense. And so it's not some sort of, I guess, things that you can support other people with. You will have formulas to assist other people, but not the stem cells stimulation. Even though I reckon that is very interesting, it's a very interesting one. But as of now, when it comes to stem cell stimulation, it's more so about you stimulating your own stem cells. Okay, so let's talk about the formulas now. So yesterday we did the brain cell activation frequency, and so if anyone here who would like to perhaps share your experience, if you can just put in your chat box or something, or you can ask us question, I guess, on our Telegram group. But that formula we will no longer practice. Okay. And as I've said, it was only yesterday that we practiced that formula, so that we get that initial experience of what it's like to practice an NLG formula and get yourself used to the ways in which our formulas are structured and how they operate. But today we will be, so from today onwards, we will practice these level 1 formula set instead. And so the first formula here, as I've just mentioned, would be the stem cell stimulation frequency. And so you see here that we will have 4 steps in this formula. So the first one of course, for all of these steps, you would recite them silently in your head. And of course, you go through the notes first. It's set to keep your eyes open and direct energy accordingly when you practice. And then practice duration, because these stem cell stimulation frequency is a formula that you will practice for yourself. You do not practice it for another person. So because it is for yourself, so the practice duration will be according to your age, okay? Now, for example, if you are supervising your children to learn energy, and for example, if they're 12 years old, then their practice duration would be 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's from 8 to 12 years old. And then 13 to 18 years old, your practice duration would be 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you are above 18 years old, your practice duration would be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. And so, of course, you recite all of these steps in your head. So you would start, so once you start your timer, you would then go from step 1, receive cosmic divine light, new era NLG, level 1, frequency band, stem cell stimulation frequency. And then, so think about that as like a request, as I've already said yesterday, a request so that the cells in your body as well as yourself, you'll be very clear of which frequency it is, of which command you're giving out to the cells now in your body to work with. And this time, it is the stem cell stimulation frequency. And then step 2, receive energy into the brain. And what that means is that you visualize energy from outer space entering the brain. Now, once again, you don't need to worry too much about what outer space look like. It's just something that you recite in your head, that to receive energy into the brain. And we just have a notes here for you in pink. So this visualize energy from outer space entering the brain, that's just a note for you, so you know exactly how to visualize energy and where this energy comes from. So then you recite in your head, receive first time, and then you wait for 3 to 5 seconds, and then you recite, receive a second time, and then you wait again for 3 to 5 seconds, and then you recite, receive the third time. And each time that you recite receive, you would visualize energy from outer space entering the brain. Okay, so it's sort of like when, you know, on your phone, you have the torch function, like you have the light function. And so every time that you recite in your head, receive, it's sort of like turning on that light. And then it's turned off, and then you go receive again, and then it's sort of like turn on that light. So it's sort of like that. It's so that so it's just so that the cells in our body understand exactly what it is that you're trying to do. And then step 3, send energy from the brain, so from the brain here, into the ERC. So the ERC is the energy reception center. It's at the back of your neck. It's just like where your shoulder starts. So it's that intersection. And then you would and then you would recite send first time, and then delay, send second time, delay again for 3 to 5 seconds, and then send third time. Now, just so we're very clear, is that this image here, it's only here to demonstrate how you visualize and how you direct energy. When it comes to your own practice, visualize it in your own body. I thought that I'll just make it very clear, so that there's no misunderstanding there. And then step 4, continuously sending energy from the ERC. So it's from here. down the entire spine to the coccyx. So all the way to your tailbone. Continuously support the energy, maintain warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Okay, so because I guess for most of you who are above 18 years old, your practice duration will be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And so in which time, the majority of time you will spend in step 4. And remember that when you get to step 4, and when you see that there's this instruction of you, when it asks you to continuously doing something, it means just that. So it means that you need to continuously doing it. And in this case, the verb is sending energy. So when you get to step 4, what you would do is you would continuously sending that energy according to how it is instructed here, all the way until alarm rings. Now, you only need to recite it. You only need to read it in your head once, okay? You don't have to go back to these previous steps. Once you get to step 4, that's it. You recite it once, and then you would do as it's instruct you to do, okay? So I hope I've made that very clear. All right, so let's see if there's any other notes. Right, so when you get to step 4, don't have to mimic it, okay? Don't have to repeat it or anything like that. And also, when you haven't remembered all of the formulas, it's okay for you to read it out. It's okay to have it in front of you and just read it out. And then as you continue to practice, you will remember the steps to these formulas. The only thing is that please do not improvise. Don't sort of try to estimate, okay, so do I send or do I receive energy in this step? You need to know which step that you're in and what it is that you're asked to do. Okay, so I think that this is pretty straightforward, and later on, after I activate you, we will practice the stem cell stimulation formula together. Okay, so there's no need to worry too much about it, as I will show you the demonstration audio as well, so that you know exactly of the pace that you should go with and of how you should practice it. All right, so on to the next one. This is the self-healing frequency. So very similar to the structure of the previous formula. So of course you recite everything silently in your head. So step 1, receive cosmic divine light, new era and LG, level 1 frequency band, self-healing frequency. Now, as the name suggests, it is self-healing. It means that you are using this formula to give yourself healing support. And because of that, the practice duration will be according to your age. And of course, when you practice, you need to keep your eyes open and you direct energy accordingly. And so after you completed reciting step 1 in your head, then you continue on with step 2. Receive energy into the brain. Once again, when you recite that and when you start reciting, receive first time, second time, third time, that's when you visualize energy source from outer space entering the brain. So it's in here. And then from there, step 3, send energy from the brain into the ERC. So send first time, second time, and third time. And then you get to step 4, continuously direct energy into the brain. That means that from outer space entering the brain and transmit it into the ERC. So it should go like that. So from outer space entering the brain and then down to the ERC here. Let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. Now, something important to note is that when you practice this self-healing frequency, if you then feel energy sort of spreading throughout your body, that's okay. Just let that be. That shouldn't be a concern at all. And this is pretty straightforward already. So if you have any question, then you can ask it in our Telegram groups. And also later on, we will have some notes for you when it comes to practicing these formulas as well. So as of now, we're just going to go through the formulas so that you can familiarize yourself with the formula set first. And then this is direct healing frequency. Now, direct healing frequency, this formula, you would use it on someone else. And very important to note is that as the name suggests, direct healing, it means that you need to be there physically with the recipient. So you cannot transmit like, how Mr. Lay transmit energy to everyone, like from afar. We call that indirect healing. But for level 1 participant, you can only do direct healing, meaning that you need to be there with the person, and you also require to put your hands on the recipient's ERC. So just like this demonstration here, this is the hand position that you will be placing on the person's ERC. So the person's ERC is right here, and then this is how you will place your hand. Okay. Now, please note that level 1 participants are not yet ready to support people with neurological diseases. So make sure that you note that. And also this is direct healing. So you need to be there with the person physically. And for level 1 participant only supports your family members. So that could be your parents, grandparents, your in-laws, etc. And before supporting another person with serious illness, the transmitter must feel warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds during the practice of stem cell stimulation formula. Now, it is not the case that right before you go to give someone else healing support that you would practice stem cell stimulation. But what it means is that when you practice stem cell stimulation on a daily basis, I hope, that you feel warmth for the entire duration of your practice. And you continue to feel that warmth every time you practice. Okay? And only then, for example, you've been practicing for a month. And during that month, you experience that warmth every time you practice the stem cell stimulation formula. And then if a family members of yours are sick, and if a family members of yours are sick, then you can offer to give them healing support if they agree to that, because you know that you've been feeling that warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and that's a sign of letting you know that yes, you are ready to give support to someone with serious illnesses. Okay, so just note that. And while performing the transmitter, so that's you, and the recipient, so that's the person that you're assisting, keep their eyes open. So both of you need to keep your eyes open and maintain a state of mindfulness. The recipient visualizes the ailing area. So this is something that you can instruct the recipient to do, is that you can tell them to visualize the ailing areas. So where it is hurting, where is it that they're feeling that discomfort? And if there's many areas, so for example, if they're having a headache, then just visualize that area, just visualizing their head, the areas where it's hurting. Or if there's many different areas that they have problem with, let's say they have a headache, they have stomachache, and their legs sore, their arms sore, then in that case, just tell them to focus on their ERC, point out to them where their ERC is, and focus on the ERC and the entire spine. So that's something that you can tell the recipient to do. And then in the meantime, while you perform this formula, of course, you need to follow these steps in this formula. So you as the transmitter would follow the step in this formula, and then the recipient, they would visualize according to your instruction, that is to the ailing areas. Now, because this formula is something that you practice on another person, so when it comes to the practice duration, it is according to the recipient's age. Now make sure that you understand this very clearly. So you see this practice duration over here? This is according to the recipient's age, not according to your age, because you're practicing this formula on someone else, okay? So for example, if you're assisting a child of 0 to 3 years old, that would be 30 seconds to 1 minute, okay? You know, just choose whichever one that you go with. For example, it's like very, very young child, like 1 year old, and maybe just 30 seconds enough. And then if it's 4 to 7 years old, that would be 1 minute and 30 seconds. 8 to 12 years old, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 13 to 18 years old, that will be 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And then if you're assisting someone who is above 18 years old, that will be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And remember that this is direct healing. You are required to put your hands on the recipient's ERC. And so for that reason, you can only do one-on-one energy transmission. So you cannot transmit energy to like multiple people. Only one-on-one. And also, okay, so let's just go through these steps first. So step 1, once again, that's sort of like the request that when you trying to make clear of which frequency that you're using. So in your head, you would recite silently, receive cosmic divine light, new era, energy level 1, frequency band, direct healing frequency. Step 2, receive energy into the brain of the transmitter. Now, you are the transmitter because you're transmitting energy to another person. So you are the transmitter. So what it means is that you receive energy into your brain first. And once again, that is visualizing energy from outer space entering your brain. And then in your head, you recite, receive first time, receive second time, receive third time, with 3 to 5 seconds delay in between. And then step 3, once you receive energy into your own brain, step 3, it's where you will send it. You send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. So what that means is that you send energy from your brain, the one that you just received, into the recipient's ERC. So it's right here. And remember that because the recipient will have their back on you. So that's how you can put your hand on their ERC. So they have their back on you. And so it's actually a very simple energy transmission to visualize, because you're going to be facing their back. And so you just visualize energy from your brain going into the person's ERC. And then in your head, you would recite silently, send first time, send second time, and send third time, with 3 to 5 seconds delay in between. And then step 4, the transmitter, so that's you, continuously transmit energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. So basically, step 4, it's just like step 3 here. But you will no longer recite send first time or second time, but you would just continuously sending it, okay? And as I've already said, when you get to step 4, you only need to recite it, as in recite the wording once, and then the rest, for the rest of the practice duration, it is the things that you do. And so in this case, in step 4, what you would do is you would transmit energy. You will continuously transmit energy from your brain into the the recipient's ERC. So that's the things that you do, because it instructs you to do just that here at level at step 4. And then let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. Okay. Let's see if I have any notes for you in particular for that one. Okay, so some tips for you when you practice this formula, because you need to place your hand on the person's ERC, and even though at this foundation level you are only giving healing support to your family members, it's still necessary to let them know that that's something that you're going to do, that it is direct healing. Talk to them about the ERC, because if they need to visualize it, then you need to explain to them what it is, where it's located, and you also need to inform them that you're going to place your hand on their ERC. So you'll be touching them, at the back. So you need to inform them that, and respecting if they are okay with it or not. Now, the thing is, when you give healing support to someone, if they don't want it, then don't force it, okay? Because they're basically, what they're doing is that they're mentally blocking out that energy already, and so there's no use. There's very little effect for you when you transmit energy. I mean, for family members, it might still work, but it's much, much better when the person's certainly on board with you about this whole thing. Now, when you place your hand on the person's ERC, one tip for you is don't apply too much pressure, or else your arm would be very, very sore afterwards. So basically, you're placing your hands and your arms will be positioned in just this one posture, for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and afterwards it will be really, really sore. So make sure that when you sit, you maintain a comfortable distance between you and the recipient, and make sure that you don't apply too much pressure, because it's not going to be comfortable for the person, and it's not going to be comfortable for you either. And trying to sit at like a similar height, because I find that personally, I find that it is best when you do it like that, or else if you're sitting like way lower or way higher than the person, then afterwards your arm just like really, really sore. And that's not to do with the effect of energy, it's just to do with the fact that it's like you're doing exercise, right? And you hold yourself in a particular posture, and then afterwards you just feel like really, really sore, because the muscles in your arms really needs to work hard during that time to hold yourself in that position. And so there's no problem with that, but it's just that to avoid being sore afterwards, having sore arms afterwards, then that's something that you need to take note. And also, it doesn't mean that, with this formula, it doesn't mean that you can only assist your family members when they are sick. You can assist them every day. If they agree to that, then you can assist them every day, just so to give them the extra support and help them to minimize and prevent conditions from happening, or sort of alleviating existing conditions gradually. And you can certainly, if you have children, you can also assist your children so that they can maintain in a healthy state, and they have just better transformation in terms of their health as well as their intelligence. Remember that before you practice this formula, that you need to read the notes. Please read it, review it. If there's anything that you don't understand, make sure to ask us question. Now, also, you will see here that when you're assisting a young child, 3 years old or younger, that the practice duration is only 30 seconds to 1 minute. So that's a very short amount of time. And usually you don't have enough time. What you find is that if you start the timer from step 1, you won't have a lot of time at all to even complete the formula. And so for that particular age group, and only for that age group of 0 to 3 years old, when you transmit energy to them, you can go through step 1 and step 2 without your timer. And then as you get to step 3, that's when you will start your timer, and that's when you will you just continue with the instructions of the formula of how it's instruct you to do, but it's just that you can start your timer when you get to step 3, just so that we can save a little bit more time and transmit energy properly to the children. Okay, so now I have a few notes for you. So on a daily basis, for yourself, mainly you will practice 2 formulas. You will be practicing the stem cell stimulation formula and the self-healing every day. And that is for your own benefits. You can practice them continuously or 1 or 2 hours apart. Level 1 students have received 2 activations, so brain cell activation, the ones from yesterday. Usually we'll activate that during day 1 of level 1. And then stem cells activation, usually on day 2 of level 1. And only when you receive both of these activation that you can practice the level 1 formulas. Direct healing, the one that I just showed you, can be used to support family members as needed. So we've already talked about that. And when practice, maintain self-awareness for 5 minutes and 30 seconds and relax your mind. If you find that you're distracted for more than 30 seconds, don't count that practice. You need to reset the timer and start again. Now, that doesn't mean that, for example, if you sneeze or if you cough, that doesn't mean that you're distracted. Only when you find that your mind wanders off somehow, that's when you need to restart the timer and you need to start again. When you practice, choose a quiet place to do so. Keep your eyes open the entire time, but you can blink. And of course, please blink because some people, they keep staring like at the wall or at an object for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and later on, they don't feel very well. That is because you don't blink, which you're supposed to do that. That's like a natural thing. So yes, you can blink while you practice. And you can find a focus point or object to look at if you need to have that to focus, at the beginning. Avoid using fan or AC because it might prevent you from feeling that warmth of energy. Practice the formulas as instructed, please, correctly and daily. Maintaining moral ethics, 5 forms of love, and the state of +1 - 1 to achieve the desired outcome. Now, when you practice the stem cell stimulation formula, when you do it for the first time and the entire spine feel warm continuously for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, then you only need to practice the stem cell stimulation formula once a day. But in contrast, if you practice it for the first time and then you don't feel warmth entirely at the spine, or maybe you feel warmth, but it's like in parts, but not entirely, then you can practice for the second time and then the third time if you need to, but 3 times maximum per day. No more than that, please. And you can practice it in rows, so 1 session after the other, to try to practice to feel that warmth, or you can practice 1 or 2 hours apart. Now, something about feeling that warmth is that some people sense the system got damaged due to different reasons. Maybe it happens in the past. And so for some people, when they practice stem cell stimulation formula, they don't feel warmth. They just don't feel it. And so the things that you'll be looking for if you don't feel that warmth it's health improvements. So even if you come in without an illness, you can still feel health improvement in certain ways. It could be with your sleep, it could be with your appetite, it could be with your stamina throughout the day. And so those are the things that you can look for, those two factors. The warmth at the entire spine, if you feel it, that's great. If you don't feel it, then look for health improvements. So those are the signs that lets you know that you're receiving this energy just fine, and that the cells in your body are actually receiving the energy as well, and they're using it to function more properly. Now, when you practice self-healing, you should practice this formula at least 6 hours before going to bed, because late practice can lead to excess energy, causing difficulty sleeping. And as I've said, if you experience any difficulty sleeping and you know that you have this excessive energy because you accidentally practice just before bedtime, for example, then what you do is you remember that breathing techniques that I talked about yesterday. So you breathe in through your nose 3 seconds, and then you breathe out through your mouth 6 seconds. So you do short inhale through the nose and long exhale through the mouth. And you do that 3 times, and then you wait for 5 minutes. If you still can't sleep, you do another breathing session. And after that, you wait 5 minutes. And so you can do that up to 3 times. And usually people fall asleep quite quickly, after doing that, if they accidentally practice, close to the bedtime. But then for some people, when they practice close to the bedtime, they can still sleep. So it also depends. It's the case-to-case kind of situation. So just in case, if you can't sleep and you know that you've been practicing diligently, and you have this excessive energy, then that's the breathing techniques for you to utilize. Healthy or mildly ill people need to practice self-healing once a day. In case of severe disease, you can practice twice a day. Now, for support healing on the same person or receiving energy from another person need to be spaced from 6 to 8 hours. What that means is that you need to schedule your practice. In particular, if you are trying to receive healing support from another person. So for example, when you receive healing support from Mr. Lei on the live stream, then you receive that, and then you need to wait for at least 6 hours until you can practice self-healing. Because even if it is self-healing, or even if it's healing support from other people, it's still the healing frequency. And because it's the healing frequency, you need to wait for 6 hours so that you don't end up with this excessive energy. And remember that it's not about quantity, but it's about quality. So receiving lots and lots of energy doesn't mean that you're going to transform and improve quicker. Because the thing is, the cells in your body also need time to work with this energy. So if you're healthy or like mildly ill, or you're having a condition, but you know that you're receiving energy support on a daily basis, then still space it out at least 6 hours. So minimum 6 hours. Only in case of emergency. For example, you feel very, very tired, you feel discomfort, you feel like you're about to faint, you feel like you need that immediate assistance, then you can practice self-healing straight away. You do not need to wait for 6 hours. And with emergency situation, you can practice as many times as you wish, okay? All right. So I think that we're for time. All right, so now I will do stem cells activation, everyone. I will show you the demonstration video of how to receive it. It's slightly different from how you receive it from the one yesterday. So I will show you now. So basically what you do is that you look at my forehead. So I will close my eyes, and of course you will open your eyes still. You will look at my forehead, and you will visualize energy going from my forehead into yours 3 times. So into your brain 3 times, and you'll count it. So it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so you would just say receive, receive 1, receive second time, receive third time. And then you would direct that energy from your brain down the entire spine. So all the way down to the coccyx, to that tailbone 3 times. And then from there, you continuously support. So it means that you keep that energy there at the entire spine until alarm rings. Okay, so I will show it to you now so that you can visualize it better. Okay, so just visualize that this is you and you're looking at me. You're visualizing energy going from my brain, sorry, my forehead, going into yours. So first time, second time, third time, and then from your brain down your spine, 1, 2, and 3. And then you keep it there. All right, you keep it there at the entire spine. So we're going to watch that one more time. Into your brain, 1, 2, and 3. And then from your brain down your spine, 1, 2, 3. And then you keep it there at the entire spine. Okay, one more time. Into your brain, 1, 2, 3. And then from your brain down your spine, 1, 2, 3. And then supporting energy at the entire spine, keeping it there all the way until I say thumbs up. Okay, so, all right. All right, so let's get started. I will set my timer to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Now, as I've already talked about this yesterday, but you actually don't need to look at me to receive this energy activation. But of course, at this foundation level, is actually easier for you, I suppose. So we don't want any technical issue to happen, but if you get disconnected from your internet, just continue to receive that energy, that activation, according to the instruction that I just gave you. And you can estimate 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then afterwards you can lock back in so that we can practice the formula together. Okay, so I've already set my timer to 1 minute and 30 seconds, so let's get started, everyone. And we will start now. This is stem cells activation, stem cells energy activation. And this is for level 1 participant. So if you're here for level 1, please receive this. If you're here to revise level 1's content, and if you are still in level 1, you have not proceeded to level 2, you are welcome to receive this. If you are a level 2, 3, 4, or 5 participant, please look away, because this activation is for level 1 participant only. Okay, so let's get started, everyone. 1 minute and 30 seconds, stem cells activation. So let's do this. Okay, and we have completed that stem cells activation. So now let's practice the formulas together before we wrapped up this class. We're going excellent for time today, everyone. Okay, so I would put the stem cell stimulation formula on the screen. So you can just read along in your head, of course. We don't need to mumble. We certainly don't need to say this out loud. And I will play this audio for you so you know of the space, of the pace when you practice on your own. Okay, I will turn my videos off so it doesn't block anything on the screen here. So let's practice this before we wrapped up our class. This is practice session for stem cell stimulation frequency. Timer 5 minutes and 30 seconds for participant above 18 years old. Step 1. Recite silently once. Receive cosmic divilite new era NOG level 1 frequency band. Stem cell stimulation frequency. Step 2. Receive energy into the brain. Receive first time. Receive second time. Receive third time. Step 3. Send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time. Send second time. Send third time. Step 4. Continuously sending energy from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx. Continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Time's up. Thank you for participating in that practice. So I think we will wrap up our class here. I will show you, before we leave, I will show you the QR code. It's the same as yesterday. But if you miss out on yesterday's one, which I hope that no one miss out on it, but this is the QR codes for our Telegram groups, and I will post the formulas on here. So make sure that you join our Telegram groups. And you can also ask questions by our Telegram groups as well. And it's really, really important that after you get activated, that you maintain a very consistent practice of your practice because of your formulas, sorry. And of course of the elements of love and moral qualities, as well as your +1 -1 frequency. Because on this journey, so now this is your own journey. After you get activated, the things that you decide to do, the things that the way that you treat other people, the way that you express self-love, it's entirely up to you now, and it really has an effect on your energy connection. And just to remind you of that. And so all the best for your practice, everyone. And remember that we're always here to support. So if you have any question, feel free to contact us, and make sure that you adhere to all of the elements that we've already talked about. And next week, I'll share with you very quickly. Next week, we'll have level 2. So the registration link has already been posted on our Facebook, as well as Telegram. So if you're interested, or if you have friends or family members who's interested, then level 2 would be March 30th. Well, for most places, and then in the US, PDT, PST time, which is California time, that would be March 29th. Okay. So you can always come back to this part of the video to have a look. And of course, our class, as usual, will be live on YouTube and Facebook. The registration link, it's already up. All right, so all the best for your practice, and I hope to see you in level 2. Thank you very much for participating. And on behalf of all participants here today, I'd like to say thank you to our energy founder, Mr. Lei. A huge thank you to everyone working behind the scene to make this program possible. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and I hope to see you in level 2. Bye-bye.